Hi, this is Stephen Frontrath with Kennedy Financial Group. I wanted to take a moment today just to give you a quick personal life update here. I'm actually in the process of getting married to my fiance Mary in the next week here. It's very exciting, and one of the things that we're going through the process of right now is actually combining our finances. And that's a topic that we get a lot of questions about here at Kennedy Financial. And so I wanted to run through just a couple of quick tips that we've learned throughout the process that hopefully may help in your situation as well. The first tip is that you need to be talking about money with your significant other. You know, in America, one of the biggest causes for divorce is money fights and money problems. So this is a conversation that we need to be having about money, how we're budgeting, how we're planning on spending our money, and how we're doing our savings, because we have to make sure that we are on the same page. Now, one of the first questions that you may run into when you talk about money is whether you should combine your finances in the first place. Now, as a general rule of thumb, we don't recommend combining your money unless you're married. And there's a couple reasons for this, but the primary reason being that in the event of a breakup or some other major disagreement, your legal protections are a little bit limited if you are not married. Now, if you are married, in most cases, it does probably make sense to combine your finances. And the reason for this is that when you are working on your money together, you're working towards a single unified goal. And it's really hard to do that when it's my money and your money. It can't be a separate thing. It has to be something that you're working together on, again, for that single unified goal to make progress on that. Tip number 2 is to get clear on your goals. Once you've made the decision to combine your finances, you really need to have a conversation about what this money is going to be used for. Now, money is just a tool that can be used for a lot of different purposes, so you need to get really clear on what you're planning on using this money for, what you're spending on, what you're saving towards, whether it's upgrading a house, saving for a new house, paying off debt, saving for retirement. I know in our particular case, we love this house, but the windows are original windows from 30, 40 years ago, so it gets really cold in the winter and really hot in the summer. So that's one of the things that we first talked about, is that's going to be one of our first goals as a married couple, is saving for new window replacements. So whatever is important to you and your significant other, you want to make sure that you have that conversation and that you talk through your goals for that money. Tip number 3 is to create a monthly budget. I know creating a budget is probably not on the top of most people's to-do list for the exciting plans for the weekend, but honestly, it's one of the most empowering things that you can do with your money. I know for me personally, if you don't know, I'm in a band and love music equipment and gear, specifically pianos and keyboards, which are not cheap by any means. And so I used to, before I had a budget, I used to feel really guilty about going out and spending money on all this music gear and equipment, and I'd feel really bad about it. But you know, once we started to do a budget and once I started to get a hang of my money, it really felt empowering, and I felt confident about being able to purchase that gear and was able to enjoy it, quite honestly, a lot more. Now, this is one of the things that you want to make sure that you sit down with your significant other and write all the monthly expenses that you have in the normal month, whether that's rent, utilities, water, cable, student loan payments, whatever it may be in your particular case. You'll want to get very clear on what you spend on a normal month so that you can prepare for that. If you're going through this process for the first time, it can be a little daunting and overwhelming to try and think of just everything that you might spend money on a given month. And quite honestly, the easiest way that I find to track those expenses is just to pull up your bank statement or credit card statement from the previous couple months and just take a look at all those transactions that you may have spent money on. I'm sure you'll probably find a lot of different areas that you may have thought that you didn't spend a whole lot on that you actually are spending some money on. Once you've got an idea of what your monthly expenses look like, you'll want to take some time to create what's called a zero-based budget. Essentially what this is we're planning out for the next month in advance, and we're taking a look at what is all of our income coming in. You'll tally up what that income is, and then you're going to subtract what your expenses are. And your goal is that once you subtract the expenses from the income, you want that to equal 0. Hence the zero-based budget. And the reason for this is we want to give every single dollar a name and a job that it needs to do. That way at the end of the month, you've got a plan for your money and you know where it went, rather than looking around and wondering where that money went and why it isn't there anymore. Tip number 4 is to open up a joint bank account. Now, once you have a plan for the money and what you're going to use it for, now it's time to put that money to work. So go ahead and open up a joint bank account that you and your spouse combine both of your money into. Again, the goal of this is to make things simple. You have one account to keep track of, and you can get a bird's eye view of what your cash flow looks like. On top of that, it helps you continue to work towards a unified goal. It's our money rather than my money or your money. Now, with that being said, if you or your spouse changes your name after you open up the bank account, don't forget to go back to the bank and have them update that name. You'll also want to make sure that you review your beneficiaries for the bank account as well. In the event that something happens to you or your spouse, who do you want that money to go to? Finally, tip number 5 is to talk with a financial advisor if you have additional questions about your specific situation. You know, here at Kennedy Financial Group, we firmly believe that personal finance doesn't have to be complicated for it to be effective. And you know, we really pride ourselves on the fact of working with clients hand in hand to help them make smart decisions with their money for a lifetime. So if you or anybody that you know wants a second opinion on your specific situation, feel free to reach out to us directly at kennedyfinancialgroup.org, and we'd be happy to help however we best can.